All right, what's up, everybody? This is the Friday Mastermind. Every Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific, we have a special guest who I will introduce in just a moment. And then usually we have Todd Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon, but he is traveling the world right now. I think he's in London.
Awesome.
So if anybody knows Todd, send him a text, say good job on prioritizing an adventure with your wife over this call. So we have Kristen Messerly, who comes into this call quite often, and Deborah Bird. Deborah, anything you want to say to frame today's call before we kick it off?
Just a reminder that this Sunday is International Women's Day, and this entire month is Women's History Month. I thought that's what you were going to say, Dave, of why you have Kristen and I on today, right?
By the way, she read my mind, but
Yes.
I didn't want to steal your thunder.
Oh, it's also daylight savings time, so I'm sure we'll see lots of social posts reminding people to spring forward. But don't forget to honor the special women in your life and who has helped you become who you are today, whether that was a lighthouse or what's the other one, the foghorn? Is that what Renee calls it?
Yeah, Lighthouse of the Foghorn.
Both can serve you, depending on how you choose to frame it.
Yeah.
Good, good, good code to think of it that way. Kristen, what do you got? Anything you want to say to frame today's call?
Well, I'm excited about today's call for a couple reasons, and one is we just released our next gen homebuyer report this year or this week, and looking at the trust numbers, like how few people trust loan officers from the very beginning. So just a couple stats to kick it off, and I would love to be able to ask questions around that. But only 1 in 8 said that they're of next gen millennials and Gen Z say that they are not concerned about being taken advantage of. And 6 in 10 say that they feel the housing system is against them or will work against them. So anyway, I think that I'm interested in hearing more about how we build trust through some of the language and scripting that you use, Gavin.
Yeah.
And also, on a side note for Women's History Month, I started a women's book club for finance. And so encourage all the women on the call to do that with me.
Sweet. So you're going to share a link for any of the women that want to be part of your book club?
Yes, I will.
All right.
And your report, your next gen
Yeah.
Yes,
report.
I'll definitely post on there.
And guys, the next gen report is, really the best work Kristen's ever done. I think this is the 6 year. I can only say that because she told me this is the best it's ever been. I wouldn't have said that if she didn't say it herself. But this is next level. I mean, Housing Wire references this, Crispin references this. This is a perennial piece of content that you should be creating content around. So one, read it, and then two, leverage it to create content and strategy. So that gets to the point. Like, let's create some strategy. Before I bring Gavin on, I also want to remind folks that this year is the 250th year of America. And I want to remind everybody that we are going, we're taking a group of loan officers that want to not just complain about affordability, but actually go lobby on the Hill with MBA and talk about it. And to me, there's a couple of reasons why you should join us. One, you will be smarter around how things actually work in Washington, D.C. It's actually kind of fun. I've done it 3 times. This will be my fourth time lobbying on behalf of the NBA. Two, you'll be networking with some badass, like-minded people. We'll put a link to learn more about this. And at the about 2 scrolls down, there's an interactive map so you can see who's going. Guys, it's some of the best loan officers in America, some of the most mission-driven loan officers in America. And then two, it's a great personal branding opportunity. Like whatever your trust ethos is with your personal brand, if you were a loan officer that, let's just say like 3 weeks before you go to DC, you started talking about that on social media, you would differentiate. And then imagine we're going to have social media teams with the White House in the background. Like, now I'm here and these are the topics and this is what I'm doing. It's an opportunity to differentiate. It's an opportunity to lead. And so it's purpose and profits. Like, you'll be doing good and you'll be representing big things and you'll raise your brand. So link to learn more. And we would love to have someone from every state. And even if we have your state covered, we can't have too many people. There's power in numbers. All right. So, Chris, anything you want to add to that? Just knowing that
Just
this is your mission and obsession right now.
Yeah, just that loan officers do sit at the intersection between the first-time homebuyer, the consumer, and the industry. So you are really uniquely positioned to have significant impact and create build trust. I mean, the whole thing around building trust, if you show your market that you're showing up for them, that can do a lot to get ahead of that trust number. So that's all I'll say.
All right. So let's get ready. Like if we had a big live audience, I'd say stand up. And let's welcome to the stage. Gavin Engstrom is someone that I've interviewed multiple times. He is a perennial 100 million plus producer. To me, more important than the personal success he's had leading a team, he's building a culture. Like I think you have over 30 branches that report up to you across country. He runs a very successful region. So he's both a great team leader and producer. He also builds and runs an incredible organization. He's mission driven. He's a husband. How many kids do you have, Gavin?
Six, six, and my wonderful 6-year-old just now 7, but at the age of 4 was diagnosed with leukemia and just rang the bell on the 16th of January. God bless her,
Guys, let's give a
and it
big
was all in
hand
good
to
hands. So
that.
thank you. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but
because I'm always just surprised. Like this guy, like how does he do it? And then also, did you actually bring Josh Metal into the business? Did
I
he?
did. Yes, Josh. So if you're listening, yes, yeah, yeah. Josh is a dear friend, and I love him to death, and I brought him in, but he did everything else. I just guided him for the first, probably, I think it was the first 4 or 5 years of his industry and his career. But it's just so awesome to see what he has done. He's such an incredible person.
Yeah, and then to add to the accolades, he runs a coaching organization, was a top coach for the Corps for many years, and now has built an incredible coaching platform. And so, I mean, the guy knows how to win, and he knows how to help others win in this business, personally and professionally. So,
Yeah.
brother,
Yeah.
you
Thank you for the
you
intro.
yeah, yeah, no, well, you deserve all of it. Before we get into this, call it the headline, scripts and strategies and exactly what to say. How are you doing this year? Like how are you performing this year
Yeah.
versus this time last year, personally
Yeah.
and as a team?
Yeah, so we're personally our team is on track. We'll be about 145 million. My private goal is to do 200 million, and so I've been doing a ton of things that are going to launch now in this second quarter. Um, but in our region now, we did 1.7 billion last year. We're on track now for 2.2 billion this year. My goal is 3.4. So heavy recruiting with the right people. And yeah, I still originate, but I originate different than most. And someone asked me the other day, Gavin, why do you still originate? And I said, oh, it's simple. It's ego. And I got some great athletes jerseys hanging behind me. And one thing I always do, and we talked about this, Deborah, is I like to study athletes because of their mindset, the best of the best, right? I got to see LeBron James last night, and I just watch him. I don't watch his game as much as I'm watching his actions and what he does. And whether you love him or like him, he is one of the best of the best. But I like to touch on Kobe Bryant because Kobe said this is two things. Is one is I practice in the gym when it is empty so I can perform in the arena when it's full. The other thing that Kobe said is every day I ask myself, did I just get 1% better today? If so, why and why not? And I think we can take so much of that into what we do. But ego is why I still originate because I want a seat at the locker room. And what a lot of professional athletes say they miss the most is just being one of the guys, being one of the gals, and one of the ladies in the locker room. And I can't give that up just yet. And so when you do something and you said like I don't know how you do it, I tell everyone I haven't gone to work in 10 years because I do what I love. And so the passion comes through in what I'm doing. I'm a giddy right now, ready to come through this screen. But
Oh,
yeah, I'm just doing every single day what I love to do. There's not a day where I wake up and go, I don't want to go in today. There's some days I look at my schedule, I'm like, brother, how are you going to get through this? And at the end of the day, I pat myself on the back or I adjust myself and say, hey, what could I have done better today? And so I'm always evaluating and auditing just myself first and how I show up for everybody else.
Well, after that opening of what you just said, there's a question I need to ask you. I was
Yes.
gonna save this for later, but you just I have I'm writing this book right now called Savaage Code, and I believe that people have like a code. They
Yeah.
have mantras. Like, in one of my mantras is always better, never bitter. And just watching you, whether or not that's the words you say to yourself, I know you to be someone that's always better, never bitter. I've seen
Yeah.
you win in this business for decades. I've seen you go through, really big challenges, personally and professionally, and you're an always better, never bitter guy. I
Yeah.
also have this thing, always curious, always grateful.
Amen.
And I see you, like, you're
Yeah.
always curious, you're always grateful. But
Yes.
what are some codes or phrases that you
Yeah.
say to
Yeah.
yourself a lot
Yeah.
that define you personally and professionally?
Yeah. I mean, I tell my kids this, just win, right? I always want to win. Winning's different for everybody, but always win and never, ever lose your curiosity. At like age 12, we're told, oh, you shouldn't ask that question. You shouldn't be like that. You start to lose your curiosity and it's beat down. I tell my kids, always ask the question that's on your heart. Always ask the question what's on your heart. Don't ask the question that's in your head, but the question that you really want to get across to somebody is what's on your heart. And go ahead and ask that question. And people have said all the time, oh my gosh, he just asks the best questions, is because I lead with my heart, not my head. Can that hurt sometimes? Absolutely. But I always remember this is that, I was doing a men's group this morning and, life happens for you, not to you. And so
Another code.
when there's challenges that come up, it's like, well, why is this happening for me? What am I to learn from this? I talk about my daughter going through the cancer journey, and I called my dad, and he's no longer with us, but I called my dad and I said, Dad, you got to explain this one to me. Mila just got diagnosed with leukemia, and he didn't skip a beat. He said, well, son, it's not why God did that. It was the relationship that God had with Mila before God decided that you were the right family to take on this journey with Mila. But Mila signed up for it. Mila said to God, I can take this and I can handle this, and I'm the child of yours that can go through this. And I tell you, every day when that was just resonating in my head, I could see that she had already knew what this was going to look like, and she agreed to do it. And so I think about that so often. And what we do is like, just do what you love. And if you do what you love, it comes through in everything that you do. And if you don't love it, don't do it. Every year I do a T square of what I love and dislike. I don't like the word hate. I don't like to use it, but I have gotten down to the point of what I really love to do. And I only do that. So first off, I love to coach. Second is I love to publicly speak. And third is I love to recruit new agents and loan officers and retain. And that is what I do every single day. And so as long as I'm doing that, you're going to get the best version of me. The other thing that I've done in my career, and people always ask, like, how do you do it? My business does not orbit around me. Many loan officers and real estate agents, they build these teams and they're the head of the snake, and everything has to go through them or around, like everything orbits around them. Nothing orbits around me. I don't have to wake up every day and tell somebody what to do. They know their roles and responsibilities, and I just inspect what I expect and make sure they're delivering it at the highest level. Consistency, I always say this: consistency creates credibility and confidence, the three C's. The more we do something, the more consistent that we do it, the more credibility. We talk about trust. It builds that trust with your agents and your clients. And then you're more confident to deliver the message, to get on stage or to present whatever it is. You're more confident in doing it, right? And so I have a lot of those mantras, and Kanai: constant and never ending improvement. Constant and never ending improvement. I'm always just wanting to get better and better and better.
Guys, that was a masterclass. I would urge everybody, if you did not take some notes. I mean, there were some things that you've heard before. There's some things that but start working on your own code and then asking, are you living your code? And
Yeah.
clearly, Gavin has a winning code, personally and professionally, and he's living his code personally and professionally. And that's creating a life and results that are winning
Dave,
by
Dave,
his
you
definition.
Yeah, you either design the life or the life designs you. Someone else will design your life for you. And so what I've learned over the years with coaching and mentors and just being around the right group of people is you have the opportunity to design that life. And so do you really take the time to design it so you know what it's going to look like? Right. And always think forward. My wife doesn't really appreciate this one, but I'm a forward thinker. I don't like to talk about the past because it's behind us. And I always say this is I don't have a rear view mirror in my car is because my future is so bright and the windshield's so big. I'm always looking straight ahead.
I love it, brother. I thought of another question, but before I ask it, uh, Kristen, anything you want to say or ask? And then Deb, I'll let you jump in. And then I do have, before we get into the strategies and the tactics, he made me think of another question. But Kristen, anything you want to say to that?
Well, I love everything that you're saying, especially when you were talking about the curiosity. I wonder what questions are you asking that are kind of building that trust and showing curiosity with your clients.
Yeah. And it's even starting when we say, what to say. It's always like, hey, Kristen, well, out of curiosity, right? Hey, out of curiosity, why did you think that was the best report that you've ever done? You know what I mean? And so just thinking like a little, I always tell my kids, ask silly questions, get silly answers. And I tell my loan officers and those that that my professionals that I get to work with, you want to make more money, ask better questions. Right. And so it's really listening and then thinking like, how did that hit home? And then what is the question that's going to get them to really think?
What is the first question you're asking when you first have an introduction to someone and you're meeting with someone? What is the question that helps to kind of dig into statements that you can ask better questions about?
Yeah, I always start with this because everyone wants to talk about themselves, right? And so hey, Kristen, out of curiosity, what's something that you're working on that's really exciting you right now? Right? I don't ask like, hey, like how's Oregon? How is whatever state you're in? How's the weather? I never ask that question because that's what everybody else asks, right? And so it's always just going a little deeper and then stacking that question, right? And keep it going.
What if
Deborah,
say it was a new agent, it's a big time Denver agent that you'd like to court and get in front of? What's your go-to? Is it a call? Is it a text? Is it a DM? Is it an email? What's
Well,
that first?
yeah, so I have one that's really salesy, and I'll gladly role play it with you. And then the other one is just pretty simple is listen, I always start with this. Hey, it's Gavin Ekstrom at Cross Country Mortgage. I know you don't know me. And you know what? A lot of times I'm not being egotistical, but most of the time they do. But if I say you probably don't know me, right? And I know you're busy, so I'm going to be super quick, right? And if I don't want to go with my salesy one, I'm like, listen, I need 30 seconds of your time. If you don't like what I say at 27 seconds in, you have the right to hang up. Can I get 30 seconds? And they'll be like, all right, I'll give you 30 seconds, right? But my money script that I would love to role play with you, Deborah, if you'd like to do it.
Sure.
It's a little salesy. Are we okay with
Okay.
that? Because listen, I'm a salesperson. Like Lisa Wells taught me many years ago, you're saving, not selling. And I'm like, nah, I'm really a salesperson. So, Deborah, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, Deborah, and you're a real estate agent. Hey, Deborah, Gavin Ekstrom, Cross Country Mortgage. Hey, listen, don't worry. I know you don't know me, and I know you're super busy. I'm going to be quick. Right now in this market, we're closing transactions in 10 days or less, and a lot of top producers like yourself are utilizing this product to close more transactions, make more money in less time. Do you feel like that would help you in this market? Say no.
No.
Hey, no problem. Listen, just before you hang up on me, out of curiosity, what's your average commission that you make per transaction?
32,000.
32,000. So if I could show you how I could make you an additional $96,000 every year that we have the opportunity to work together in a 15-minute conversation, not a second more, either in person or on Zoom, would you give me that time? Just say you have a lender.
I appreciate that, Gavin, but I already have a lender.
I know most top agents like yourself do, but unfortunately today it's just not me. But again, few last questions. How long have you been in the business?
16 years.
16 years. How long have you worked with your current lender?
14.
14. So my math's not very good, but it says that to me that you've probably gone through a couple lenders in your career. Would you agree?
Yes.
And the number one thing that I always want to do is just make sure I protect your reputation. At some point, that preferred lender that you have right now is eventually going to drop the ball. And all I want to do is build a relationship with you. So when that happens, you have somebody that's on the bench already that you can give that ball to, and I can score for you, protect your reputation, and deliver. 15 minutes, not a second more, in person or on Zoom. What works best for you?
Let's do Zoom.
Okay, so would you really take that call?
Yes. I was going to be a smartass and say, well, my lender's my spouse.
Yeah, and I'd say, well, listen, I can appreciate that, but the one thing that really want to protect you from is not only your reputation, but a potential divorce.
Think about it every day. No, just
Yeah,
kidding.
but you say like, so that's my, like, I can bat 1,000 with that one because I close and close and close.
Okay, what if I said, look, I've got 5 minutes right now.
5 minutes is not enough for me to really show you the true value that I can bring to you. You're a professional and so am I. And so what I think I've learned, Deborah, is if you work with people that don't value your own time, right? They're not gonna, that don't value their time, they're not gonna value your time. I value my time. And so I need exactly 15 minutes. And if you choose to go longer than that when we meet, that's your choice.
Can
But I
we do it
really
now on Zoom? Like, can you send me a Zoom link?
Yeah, I'll do it right now. Like I would do it, right? Because all I'm doing is bam, bam, bam calls with that same script to set the appointment.
Mm,
Problem that now, how often do you think I've practiced that before?
a lot.
Yeah. And I literally title it in my playbook the $1 million real estate agent script. Because if I look at the individuals that I've gotten with that, now some are like, oh, you're just too salesy for me. Then I just say, just give me 30 seconds right now at 27 seconds in. If you don't like what I say, you can hang up. How does that work? Those are
How
my
many
just
actually hang up?
never, never. Why? Because I sound confident in my delivery. My tonality is like, hey, you're not going to get off the phone with this guy without setting an appointment. But most people, when they call, they're like, oh, hey, they just don't have it. They don't practice. So remember the first quote with Kobe Bryant. You got to get your reps in, right? And
So how many
repetition,
times did you practice that before you made your first call?
about 10 until I could get on with anyone and just rip through it. Yeah, I practice a lot.
So
And
guys,
most people don't set the time in their business to practice, right? And everything that we do is a performance. Everything that we do right now is a performance. People are watching us, whether it be on social, the way we drive, the way like everybody is watching. I'm at a basketball game. I'm at a basketball game the other day, not last night, with my son, and I'm sitting there, and someone sends me a picture, and we had literally just sat down, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like, Beckett, look at this. Like people stalk you. They're like, hey, good to see you at the game. I hadn't talked to this guy in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, how did you, or 2 months? I'm like, how did you know I was here? And he's like, I don't know. I just saw you. And I'm like, okay. But everybody's watching. So be a performer, right? Understand what your role is, and everything is an interview. I tell my son, like, my son's 13. He plays AAA hockey, 13U. They just took state. Then they won regionals. 2 weeks, we're going to nationals. And every year he has to try out for a new team that's a higher level. And I remind him, son, when you step on the ice, you're being interviewed. The way you tie your skates, the way you communicate with the coaches, the way you encourage the other players. They're not really looking so much at your talent, but they're looking at everything else. You're already talented enough to play at this level. But now they're looking at, hey, what's your work ethic? Do you get back on the drills? Are you first or last on the drills? Are you giving it 100% every time you're on the ice? Because son, from this point forward, anytime you play hockey, you're being interviewed. When you're playing in a game, someone's in the stands watching you saying, man, would I give this guy, would I want this kid to come to my high school? Would I want this kid to come to my college? And that's the pressure that we all have. But
Have
yet
you
we don't
respond
take
to a
it.
mistake, to failure when your team member makes a mistake? It's those little things, the body language. Do you sulk?
I watch him after, like, this last time they were down going into the third period, and now the kids come off so they can redo the ice, and he's sitting watching everybody, and they're down by 2, and he's high-fiving and hitting them on the head, high-fiving and hitting them on the head. That's not talent. That's what we call awareness of knowing, like, how can I get my team motivated, understanding that hey, we have a shot. We have 16 minutes left, and they ended up winning that game by 4. They came back and just crushed it. So it's those little things that we do, right? People say that the devil's in the details. I say the dollar's in the details, right? The little details, those little actions that we do, the words we say and what we use when we're speaking to a client can make the biggest difference.
So this made me think of another question, and I do think we're checking the box on the headline. Like those are some incredible scripts, strategies. I hope you heard the messaging that it's not just what you say, it's how you say it, it's the confidence that you have, it's the energy that you project in that conversation. Um, I have another code of mine that has been really the North Star of my professional code for my not 40 years that I've been in the business. I think I figured it out after the first 10, but it was my advice makes a difference. And when I founded Mortgage Coach, I was trying for that not to be bullshit. Like I wanted to be able to say to someone within a conversation, my advice makes a difference. And then I wanted to be able to visually show it to them in a way that was unique, where they're just like, wow, no loan officers ever, told me this or showed me this. And it triggered trust, it triggered confidence. Now you're a mortgage coach. I don't, know, I assume your team is actually
Yeah.
doing the setup and the creation, but guys, they've done thousands of mortgage coach presentations. I want to know what the code is that drives that. Like you saw it, you adopted it. I mean, clearly you were successful before you had mortgage coach. It wasn't like you were not a very successful loan officer, but it's become a standard. And what's beneath the iceberg? Like, what
Yeah.
is the value? Like, why did you make that a team habit and standard?
Yeah. So one thing I got to say, Dave, you're living that code because you're, if not the most influential leader in the mortgage space, you're living that code. You've influenced so many people that you've never even met, right? And what I learned about mortgage coaches, I was watching all these big producers, and I study athletes. I'm studying Jeremy, I'm studying Josh, I'm studying all these big producers, and I'm finding the silver lining is mortgage coach. And so I said, well, let's jump into this. Let's beta test it before we full throttle it into our system and let's see what happens. And so, man, I don't know how long ago it was, but within our first 90 days of using Mortgage Coach, we saw a 10% decrease in shopping just that first 90 days. And then when we got better at it and we used the right strategies and what you're teaching, we just saw our increase just went through the roof. And so it's a tool that, like, if I had to, it would probably be the last tool that I would give up if I was not making any money and we had to start cutting some of these luxury items. Mortgage Coach is that's our true LOS. Like, it's the most important tool that we use. And so I'll tell you, we win business with it. Our agents are so used to it because we send them the link for it, right? And our clients see it and they absolutely love it. And when other lenders don't do it, they come to me and we win business because they think our tech is so good. And it's Mortgage Coach that we're using. And it's just consistency goes back to the credibility. It's like if we have somebody that's shopping us, which we all do, the first thing I ask is send me the Mortgage Coach, right? And then we go over it with them. And once we simplify, like, we go over it with them in the beginning, we go through with them when they're under contract, and we continuously go over it with them. And the more that we do that, it goes back to, it's a tool that builds trust.
I have a question for Kristen on that with some of the research that you've done, especially with Gen Zs. What is it that you think about Mortgage Coach, coupled with how it's delivered, obviously, by the advisor, but why do you think that gives such trust and makes such an impact with them?
Well, I think, I mean, to that stat that only 1 in 8 think that they're not going to be taken advantage of, it bypasses the person. So it supports what the person is saying. Otherwise, you're just, even when I was buying a home, I would, like, all my friends and family in this industry, I'm like, you're paid to tell me it's a good idea to buy a home. Like, it's just, that is the fact but if you use Mortgage Coach, then you're showing, here's exactly, why this is a good idea, what it looks like for you over 5 years, what the rent versus own is, and those numbers paired with the advice and the guidance then gives credibility and builds trust.
Yeah, and I'll tell you my answer, and then I'd like to hear yours, Gavin, but call it the science, because I do believe there's an art in science to selling. And I always think of art is who you are as a human, like how Gavin shows up, his tone, his energy, his confidence, his humanity is the art. But then there's a science, and there are specific questions that he asks consistently that create gaps. And then mortgage coach, he is showing options. So that's transparency. He's showing the performance of those options monthly, which the industry does. So that's not a differentiator. That's showing monthly payments, and showing the difference in monthly payment does not create trust. But when you show the performance over different windows of time, like, by the way, windows of time that are relevant to the consumer, 3 years is the right number for some customers, 5 years. But when you show a short term and a long term, it is an uncommon level of transparency, and scientifically, it triggers trust. It triggers confidence. But how would you answer it? What are, either echo some of that or share your own version?
I think that we have to remember buyer behaviors, right? Buyers, they buy on emotion, they justify on logic. When we use Mortgage Coach, it evokes the logic side of it. And so we take an emotional decision and we bring the science, which is the logic, to what we're doing. And it breaks down every aspect of it. It's easy to read, it's easy to follow along with. And the simplicity of it, right, is what makes them understand that we are being transparent. There's nothing, we always tell people our facts and figures are exactly what they're going to be when you go under contract. If they are off by a dollar or 10,000, I'm going to guarantee the difference. We're so certain that everything is plugged in accurately. And so that mortgage coach is that tool that we use to justify the logic of that decision of homeownership.
I also think it really helps with overwhelm, and that's another big area that we studied in this report. But buyers, especially first-time buyers, are so overwhelmed, and their brains kind of shut down. I mean, and I'm curious, Gavin, if you are like getting someone who is rate shopping you, is there something that you share that allows them to understand, this is why it's more than rate? I think people that are overwhelmed are often going to the only number that they really know, which is rate. And so they're trying to do their best to do some due diligence. But what do you tell them or say to them to get them beyond that number? And maybe that's utilizing Mortgage Coach.
Yeah, part of it is utilizing the mortgage coach tool, right? But when people are rate shopping, and listen, everybody's shopping, right? And so I always ask like, hey, pick two. What are the most important? Is it cash to close? Is it rate or is it payment? And just pick two for me, right? And when they pick that, I challenge their way of thinking. You think about the challenge or sell, right? Well, hey, what made you choose that? Right? What was it about that? So if you pick payment, right? Okay, so then I want to understand like what is the absolute lowest payment that you want, like not lowest, what's where you're the most comfortable? And if you saw that house that you just couldn't live without, where would you like that payment? And when they say, oh, 3,500, and I said, but Dave, if it's a house that fits every aspect of what you're looking for, would you go to 4,000? I move them up a little bit to just to see where they're at and hit their cap and then reverse engineer it using Mortgage Coach to do that. But the other thing too, when people are shopping, it's like, hey, apparently you've been doing your research. Would you mind sharing with me what you found? So then that way I know what I'm competing against without saying, well, what are you seeing out there? Right? It's like, well, apparently you've been doing your research. Congratulations. What have you found? And when
And
they
if I
give me that,
said I just took a screenshot of your estimate and put it into Chat GPT and they're saying, this, and this is a little high.
yeah. So here's what chat doesn't understand. They don't understand the full validity of your transaction. So let me tell you why your transaction is going to be hard. that is one of my strategies, is like sharing with them, because we do this every single day. And then we have this couple that's had 4 or 5 job gaps, or they have a less than ideal credit score. But yeah, as loan officers, we just breeze through it. And it's like, well, Deborah, let me just share with you what chat's not picking up and why your loan is hard. And when I break it down and then give them the transparency of how we came up with this interest rate. And then I talk about our process. We have over 1,700 reviews online for our team personally with a 4.9 star rating. And then I also talk about our post after closing, what's going to happen, right? So most lenders don't have a post closing strategy. We've had one for years, but you have to explain that to the borrower so they understand, well, okay, not only are they going to close, but then here's what's going to happen after. We talk about our 4 phone calls. We talk about our annual review. We talk about how CCM is the #1 independent retail lender in the country and that we service 97% of all of our loans. So they're going to make our payments to us. So if there's ever a servicing issue, we're there all the way through. We're truly being your lender for life. So we've got a solid front end and we got a solid back end. And then, what I always say this is, hey, Dave, but there's going to come a time where we're going to have to shop for interest rates. I want you to know I'll be at or below any credible lender. And when it comes time to shop, I'm literally going to shop with you. I'm going to show you all of our internal products, and I have the ability to broker. I'm going to show you those as well. Companies that you're very familiar with, and those that you don't even know. But you got to lend some credit to a mortgage company that's been the fastest growing for almost 8 years now, and that at the end of the day, we're still going to be in business. And you see a lot of these mortgage companies go away, right? And so just building that stability with them. And then understanding, like, always, again, like, hey, what makes you think that you want to put 20% down, right? Like, just going through the science of it, as Dave said, so they can understand it and just come up with a crystal clear answer. And then always always inject what I would do. Hey, if I were in your shoes, this is the one that I would select, but let me explain to you why.
Is it
And then
because it makes you more money?
never. I don't it's never about the money for me, and truthfully it's about building the relationship with you and literally creating wealth not only for this generation but the next generation as well. And I'll dive in like, hey, where like a lot of people, you don't realize they may be the first person in their generation to buy a house. And so it's understanding how we can create wealth. But I don't feel like anyone's ever challenged me saying like, hey, you just do this for the money. No, I like, I'm not going to ever tell a client like, hey, I don't really need to work, but
So, so
I'm
we
going
need,
to show them the service that we provide.
well, we need to, I have a question before I do a question, but I definitely want to dig into how you talk to a family and have that like, hey, I'm going to help you accelerate your wealth with real estate and achieve financial freedom and help you and your kids achieve that. I want to be ready for that. We're not going to run out of time and do that. Before I do that, because AI came up and more consumers are using AI, so consumer AI,
Yeah.
and we've built AI into Mortgage Coach so that the consumer can interact with that, and you know exactly what they asked. You know what I said, or not what I said, but what the Mortgage Coach AI said to them. Um, has that changed what you say to the consumer before you give them the Mortgage Coach? The fact that AI is in it, or, what are you saying and how you deliver that total cost analysis?
It hasn't changed it, but what it's done is it's given more transparency, because now the consumer can go and ask the questions that they're thinking that they might be afraid to ask you. And now you're aware of those questions, so then you can bring it back to them as well, right? And I'll tell you about chat. Embrace it. It's the best tool that we have right now, and you just have to embrace it. Don't just use it for emails and text messages. Do what Dave's done and how he's integrated it into Mortgage Coach to make our job easier and to make the transparency to the consumer even greater. And that's like what you said, Kristen, isn't that what they're looking for? Is transparency, right?
And it's a
Yeah,
non-biased response because if you're asking the AI built into Mortgage Coach, I would think they trust it more because there's no motive behind it. Like they're not thinking, well, of course you're saying this because you get paid a commission. Like kind of
Right.
what Kristen had said at the start. It's like, oh, I could trust this because the motive is pure.
I
Yeah.
wonder, question, Kristen, and maybe you know the answer, maybe not, maybe it's something to research. Does a consumer have more trust with a loan officer that is salary based versus commission?
Oh, yeah, that would be a really interesting question. I would assume they would trust the salary based more, but I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something to you do a certain amount of volume and there's some trust to that, of the experience and expertise. And I don't think it necessarily has to be that that is what builds the trust. But I think definitely the requirement to like someone just getting a disclosure, someone just getting a loan estimate, like that kind of stuff is not building trust. And I put in the chat too that people are trusting AI as much or more than humans for personalized home buying education. And so I do think there is a component of the hybrid reality of like you utilize this to build trust.
How smart do you think this consumer is in today's day and age?
Well, we know that they're not very smart about home ownership information. I mean, our first home IQ quiz, we measure their understanding of buying their first home, and they score pretty low on that. I mean, now it's in the 70 percentile, but they're basic questions, and so I mean, I'm sure you know better than anyone around that.
Well, here's where they're going for trust, where they're most comfortable. They go to your reviews, they read the reviews, they get to a feel for you, and then they're searching you on social. They're seeing like, who is this person? Can we trust them with our financial information? What's his lifestyle or what's her lifestyle like? And so be careful of what you post. And so here's what I tell my real estate agent partners is you're being interviewed before you're being interviewed. They're doing a ton of research before they go and select you, just like we do with a restaurant. Or if we're going to go buy a product that we don't know, where do we go? We go online and we go look at the reviews. If we're going to go to a restaurant, we've heard good things, but let's just see what everybody else is saying. And then we go find them on social and, oh, what does the restaurant look like? What's the feel? You know what I mean? And so they're looking to build trust before they even talk to you. And many people, you're not even getting the phone call because they see what you're posting on social and they don't feel like it's a right fit. So just word of the wise is build your reviews, right? And then also make sure that you're consistently posting your brand of who you are on social.
Not only that, Gavin, but to your point, like that's one aspect of what I love about what First Home IQ is doing with the MBA is they're going to Chat GPT and they're asking recommend the best first time home buying loan officer in Denver, Colorado, who also happens to be an expert on VA loans. Like if
Yep.
you were to type that into chat, who is it recommending? And
Right.
this is why it's essential to leveraging other parties to recommend you or have you visible on other entities beyond just social so that the algorithm with the LLMs can say this is your person because there's
Going
got
to
to be enough
Washington.
out there.
Being a part of that, which I'm going to do, but being a part of that builds automatic trust because they show that you're an advocate for our industry. And all of you loan officers that are listening, this industry's done so many good things for us. Look at our beautiful lives that we've all been able to live and those people that we've been able to impact over the years. It's time that we dig in and give back, right? Both from marching up to Washington, but also with home IQ is like getting involved in it at a higher level. We all owe it to ourselves to take that next step.
So, guys, Kristen put a link, but April 14th and 15th is coming up quick. We're actually starting to do webinars where we show you what to do on social. And again, you got to be your authentic self, but we're going to share ideas. If you scroll down here, there's a map so you can see who's going. We got Jeremy Forcier, Total Baller. We got Sean Herrero. I don't know who Deborah Bird is, but she's coming. Uh, we've got a lot of very successful leaders. Matt Adler is the #1 loan officer in the state of Michigan, did over 500 loans last year. He's going to be there. a lot of top people are going to be here. And by the way, we're not done. Like
No.
we still have states that are open.
I
By the
see
way,
my state's open. I'm gonna go
I was
snag it
just
right
going
after
to
this.
say, Gavin, with
Yes.
Colorado, I'm
Yeah.
not going to put you on the spot here, but we would love to have you.
I'm gonna snag it. Then I'm gonna call Nicole Ruth and tell her to join me.
Get it. Well, Nicole's got a conflict. I already talked to
Oh,
Con,
okay. All right.
but you
All
could
right.
still give her a push. But
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
told me that I can't remember what it was. She has some conflict. But by the way, if you're in Colorado, we can't have too many.
Yeah.
Um, by the way,
Iron,
Gavin, do you
iron
agree?
sharpens iron, right? Like, and
Iron
here's what
sharpens iron.
here's the great thing is this is a brother and sisterhood like no other, and these are the best of the best. And the more that you spend time around them, like being on this call and listening to the past and being on the future, it just makes you better. Not just a better like a better loan officer, but a better human from being around these individuals. And that's like the reason they don't trust us is because unfortunately there's a lot of loan officers, like there's bad rap from 2008 that they all remember, right? And so that carries over. And so set yourself apart with events like this.
All right. So
Kristen, I noted. Oh,
was that
go.
a yes? You're gonna go? We're
Yeah, I'm
gonna
going.
okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm
guys,
going.
you heard
I'm
it.
going.
We'll add Gavin. We'll get you the sign up information. It's like $350, so it's a
Yeah.
very low cost event. There's a hotel block. So guys, this by the way, this event will sell out. I don't know if it's going to be 2 days or 2 weeks. It's not going to be a month. Like it's going to be sold out within 2 weeks. So be sure to get signed up. So Gavin, I want to hear what the conversation would be like because we believe with First Home IQ that the grand slam in America, well, the home run in America is home ownership with financial freedom. Like
Yeah.
just buying your home is not the home run. But
Right.
the grand slam is home ownership, financial freedom with your kids achieving home ownership in their 20s. Like
Mhm.
the earlier they get in the game, the better. I know you agree with that. I see you
100%.
nodding your head. How do you have that conversation with a client? Like when do you have the conversation and what are the words that you use? What does that sound like?
When you're so are you saying it's a first time home buyer getting into home ownership
No,
or
it's a family. Like,
a
let's say it's a move
family?
up buyer that's got kids that, they may, probably not 5-year-olds, but
Right.
we're talking high school, college. Maybe they have 20-year-old kids that don't have homes yet.
Yeah.
But how do you lean into families? Because you talked about multi-generational home ownership and wealth. Like, what's that sound like?
It starts with the benefits, right? You got to start with the benefits of home ownership and really educating them not only on the appreciation, but the tax benefits, and then how you can really leverage that money to then consistently build wealth, right? One of my favorite things, like I've got a client who just went through this and now they're buying their second house. I'm like, do you realize that you can buy an investment property with 3% down? And they're like, no. And it's really just challenging again their way of thinking is, yeah, let's just do a conventional loan, 3% down. And then your second home, don't do FHA first because there's that distance. But do a FHA loan 1 year later. So I've got a client who now we're doing his FHA loan now, and now he'll have accumulated almost $150,000 in equity because when he bought, and it was over a year ago, but now he's accumulated that $150,000 off only putting 3% down. And it's really showing them how that money gets leveraged by using the bank's money. And then when we get to that point is then talking to them about, hey, making sure your 401k you're maxing out, making sure you're starting to put money in the S&P 500, really going over the financial wheel. So it's not just about real estate, but all things financial and how it's safe, but showing them the benefits. I have a chart that I go through with them and showing them that basically what is the rate of return on a 3% down payment? Well, in this situation, it was well over 100%. And now just moving them into the 3.5% down. I think anybody buying their first home should think of it's just the starting point for investing. And then parlaying that, Dave, if you think about the first home you bought, the money has actually parlayed from your first home to your second home to your third home to your fourth home. There's probably some sort of trail because when you sold that property, you took the equity and did this. You know what I mean? And so it's really just highlighting that and educating them on it. And then not just having that one conversation, but then having a follow up conversation. So when we do our 4 calls a year, It's like, hey, when we spoke before, you mentioned that your daughter was about to go off to college, right? In your case, your son is about to go off to college. I know he's already in college, but would you like to talk about how we can do home ownership with you co-signing for them and utilizing FHA? And so it's just really bringing awareness to it because there's not a lot of places that they can really go and get there's just a lack of awareness about home ownership, right? Everyone thinks still now you still have to put 20% down.
Kristen,
Another quick data point.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah,
data,
yeah,
data.
yeah.
But in this report, only 8% could accurately identify the minimum down payment required. So, I mean, and that number actually didn't increase very much with the second purchase. So after they bought their first home, half of the people in our report did, and they still didn't know you could put less than 20%.
so so guys, I want that to literally sink in. Everybody in this call, you've heard that before, but part of the mission of First Home IQ is to put a dent in financial literacy. And by the way, extreme ownership, the fact that most Americans think you need to put 20% down, whose fault is that?
I was gonna say that should
Like,
piss you off
like we
a
could
little
say
bit.
that's the schools. We
Is it
could say
Dave
that's
Ramsey?
no, but we
Sorry.
could say it's schools. We could say it's government. It's the
Yeah,
mortgage industry.
yeah.
Guys, like this is our job. We have data. We we can be leaders in our local communities. We can be leaders in our database. And I would just urge you guys to use social media, use how you message your database so that maybe in America it's 8%, but your database, it's like everybody knows that that's not the way it is. Any
Don't
thoughts on that, Gavin?
don't pre-diagnose the client, right? Don't pre-diagnose. Your agents pre-diagnose because they don't think you can do a 500 credit score on FHA. Yes, I know below 580, it's 10% down, but don't pre-diagnose the client. If a client can't get finance in today's day and age, like they've really done a number on themselves, but there's ways still to, for me, it's not a matter of if, but when we're going to get you into home ownership. And so having a strategy for, hey, they can't buy now, but let's grow them into when they can buy. Here's what I have found is everybody is still thinking about 2020 to 2022 because that was our best years as far as rates concerned. So I came up with 10 strategies or 10 reasons why now is the best time. Can I whip through them real quick?
Go, let's go.
So if you've got clients on the fence and they're like, well, I'm just waiting. Everyone's waiting for rates, right? The one thing I always tell agents, hey, realtors, if interest rates were 1% to 2% lower, would you sell more houses? And what do you think they all say?
Yes.
Yeah. So I say, well, why don't you? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, my clients don't pay market interest rates. They pay 1% to 2% below market. How? A buy down. But see, if we say buy down, the consumer doesn't understand it. So transformational vocabulary change the way that you're communicating it, right? And so even when I talk to my clients too, I'll say, listen, you're not going to pay market interest rates. You're going to pay 1% to 2% below through this thing called concessions. And so let me touch on these 10 reasons why. Number one, sellers willing to negotiate on price. If you think about, I'm using the barometer of 20 to 22, there wasn't a single seller in those years that were thinking about negotiating on price. Number two is sellers are willing to pay you to buy their home. Why do I say it like that? Because they don't understand concessions. So sellers are willing to pay you to buy their home through this tool called concessions. We'll get enough concessions to get you a rate that will mirror that of 20 to 22 and additionally even get your closing costs covered. Number three is you don't have to overpay for the property. Back in 20 and 22, do you realize that people were overpaying by 50 to hundreds of thousands of dollars on the property? You buy now, like you're not going to have to overpay. Number four, there's more inventory than ever before in most markets. I know some of you still have a 1.2 months of market share, but you don't have to. There's more inventory. So if you can't find a house in this market, how are you going to find it when interest rates go up? And as Barry's taught us too, is if interest rates go up 1%, 5 million buyers enter into the market. I like when there's less competition, and in this market right now, there's less competition than ever before. Number six is you're actually able to get an appraisal. Back in 20 to 22, you weren't even able to get an appraisal. If you asked for an appraisal, you put your offer down to the bottom. And potentially in today's market, the home that you're going to purchase is going to come in above your asking price. Number 8, you're able to get an inspection. You know, back then you couldn't even get an inspection on your property. And number 9 is sellers are agreeing to do inspection items which they weren't agreeing to do before. And then lastly, the number 10 is the most important, if you ask me, is the emotion of the buyer. See, I believe in 20 to 22, people that got a home got the house they got. They didn't get the house they wanted. Because why? They had to put so many offers in, and so many buyers were emotionally distraught over the home buying process because of all the other things that I listed above. So when you ask me why now is the best time to buy, it's those 10 things. And then I'll wrap with this. A wise man, a wise billionaire said, be greedy when everybody else is fearful, and be fearful when everybody else is greedy. What kind of market do you think we're in right now? We're in a fearful market because of one thing, interest rates. But that billionaire who said it is Warren Buffett. And so right now, if you look at what Warren Buffett is investing in, Lennar, at the beginning of last year, he put 862 million in Lennar. Now he has over 1.5 billion invested in Lennar. Lennar is the number one home builder in America. He probably knows something, and we should follow what he's doing.
Guys, let's give Gavin a hand. Use those little reactions down below. Kristen, I don't know if you're thinking what I'm thinking, but we need to have Gavin as part of our certification program for First Home IQ. Were you thinking that?
Yeah, I already put it into that document where we're tracking that. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
Gavin, I think we can use some of the clips right here. I also want to remind folks that some of the scripts that you shared today in the coming days will be in Uncommon LO. So on Instagram and TikTok, if you are not following Uncommon LO, almost daily, let's just say 3 times a week, we're taking less than 1 minute clips of scripts, of strategies, of uncommon LOs. And to me, an uncommon LO is someone who's winning in this market. Most loan officers are not winning in this market, and they're doing it in a way that's future proof. And Gavin exemplifies winning in this market in a way that's future proof. Kristen, any closing thoughts you have as we wrap up this call?
Just a reminder to everyone, go to firsthomiq.com/advocacy and you can sign up. So excited to have you, Gavin. We have a graphic coming your way to share that out. And yeah, thanks guys for letting me be on the call.
And Gavin, we are going to be doing the Modern Mortgage Summit in DC at the Press Club. By the way, Google Press Club in Washington, DC. This is a historic place. We've reserved a room for 100 badasses, and we'll find some room on that stage if you can stay an extra day. Jeremy is going to be co-hosting that with me and Todd Bookspan. Deborah Bird, win by noon close. Let's go, girl.
I just want to say thank you, Gavin, for choosing to spend your Friday with us. And I think everyone who's listening, make sure you're following him, DM him, or reach out and let him know what was one big aha or takeaway that you're going to implement and execute immediately. Sometimes we do these calls and we don't always know the compound effect, and you never know what someone could be going through. And that one little positive note to Gavin could light up the rest of his day or his week. So choose to use social for good. Go back and re-watch this entire session. There's a ton of great nuggets, and have a great March. I love March. It's spring. It's go time. It's prime time. Let's go.
Go. So Gavin, what is the best place to follow you? If someone wanted to learn more about your coaching platform, how would they do that? And any closing thoughts you have?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I'm an open book. I've been doing this since 1993. I don't have any secrets. If there was something that you want more of, just DM me on social at Gavin Ekstrom. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Impact, which is at Impact Elite Coaching Group. We have an event coming in Newport Beach, California, April 23rd. Come join us, come check it out. It's some of the best, most elite coaches in the industry. And we have some of the most phenomenal students that are seeing massive growth in this environment. And it's because of what we're teaching. We've evolved into what this modern mortgage loan officer is all about. And mortgage coach is a big component of that. So we appreciate you guys having me on today.
Yeah, and if you're watching this, we will have a link brought to you by housing.link. And in that link, there'll be links to everything we talked about. I'll get an example of one of Gavin's total cost analysis. We'll put it down below. JJ Mazzo, I think that we at Mortgage Coach may be some type of a sponsor. I'm trying to fit that into my calendar. Guys, this is an incredible human being. The leaders of this coaching platform are some of the most successful, not just professionally, but personally, mortgage professionals in America. So check it out. Follow these guys. If you are not subscribing to our YouTube channel, subscribe. We hit 26,000 followers this week. Literally, I think this Monday I did a post. Thank you for everyone that tunes into this. Like, I am obsessed with impact. I am obsessed with changing how people get into debt in America. Like, the mortgage is not debt. The mortgage is a wealth creating instrument. And then also with First Home IQ, Krista and I, and all of the people that are part of First Home IQ, we're obsessed with getting more people in their 20s buying homes. Like, we think that is the wealth gap in America. And if you're a mortgage professional, it's going to make you like your job better. It's going to help you create more impact, and you will actually do more loans and help realtors sell more homes. So it's been a great call, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Thank
This is a
you.
wrap.